driven to insanity. The title of this video is 5 Reasons You Do Not Want to Be a Truck Driver, Part 1. People, there are so many reasons why you do not want to be a truck driver. There are literally tons of reasons, plentiful reasons, why you do not want to be a truck driver. So many, in fact, that I've had to divide this up into a small series on why you do not want to be a truck driver. And it's really sad and everything, but it is a reality of why you do not want to start in this business, why you do not want to be a driver. So everyone, shall we begin? Number 1, hard to get out of it. People trying to get out of this business once you've gotten into it is next to impossible. And if you think you're going to get a local job, most of the local places will have literally right there listed no over-the-road drivers, no regional drivers, drivers with local experience only. How can you get local experience when you're never there? You know, that makes it very difficult. And I've tried to even go to Love's, and Love's wouldn't even hire me because they said, oh, well, you're a truck driver. And Love's has very bad policies against drivers even having relationships with their employees and such. And so Love's wouldn't even touch somebody that had been a driver. They outright refused. So it makes it very difficult. And you're trying to go to a job interview or do a drug test for pre-employment, it's kind of hard when you're not there because of the truck driver's life of you not being there. Also, people in general hate you. They hate you that you're a truck driver. I've heard things like, well, my granddad lost his job because of pieces of shit like you. Or horrible things like that, or oh, I hate you bastards, you cut me off, or whatever. People will outright not hire you just because they hate you for being a driver. You know, and it's very difficult to go to school for something when you're a truck driver and you're never there. You know, in the internet, you don't always get those signals and stuff like that if you're using even your phone or whatever. As a hotspot or the truck stop internet is an absolute crazy joke. All the guys in the parking lot watching porn use up all the signal. And so it makes it very difficult. And so it is one of the reasons why you do not even want to start in this business, because it is very difficult to get out of it, and the soiled reputation that truck drivers have, and many of it is very well earned, it's sad to say. So that is number 1 on why you do not want to be a truck driver. Number 2, lawyers target you. Just drive around and look at all those greedy lawyer billboards. Look at that psychopath with a sledgehammer and his mentally deranged son beating up the trucks. He's gonna beat them up. This fool does not belong on commercials. He doesn't belong on billboards. Him and his mentally deranged son belong in a nice mental hospital with padded walls and lots of medication to make their time magic. Or you see the guy holding up the 4 fingers and he's really holding up 1. He's throwing the fat finger to society and the drivers. Look at this Thomas J. Henry promising like 25 million, 50 million. You look at all these greedy lawyers, just drive down the road, they're everywhere. And they're always targeting truck drivers. I mean, it is sickening. You are a target. You're running around as a target. People are trying to get in accidents with you because they see that money and they don't read the fine print of multiple fatalities. You know, AAA took a study and found that in most accidents, it's the car's fault, but the truck driver is usually charged. Truck driver is almost always going to get the ticket. I knew a friend who was going down 35 in Austin, drunk driver going the wrong way up the interstate, hit him, and he got charged with it for impeding the flow of traffic because he was in that drunk's way. You want to bet that drunk's family didn't sue him? Of course they did. You know, lawyers target you because you're an easy target. Trucking companies, oh, they got millions. They see, people only see that. They don't see the reality is that most people, when they have a serious accident with a truck, it's a fatality. And so these lawyers, they put this in fine print, and these people, they don't read that fine print of multiple fatalities. They only see that big $50 million thinking, wow, 50 millions, I'm gonna be mega rich. And so these greedy lawyers, these pieces of trash, if the Department of Public Safety actually cared about public safety, which we clearly know they don't, they would do exactly to these lawyers what they did to the tobacco companies. Got them off the advertisements, got them off the billboards. You don't see the cancer camel up there pushing his poison? Of course not. And so why can't they do that to these parasitic lawyers like that lunatic with a sledgehammer? I know where I'd like to stick that sledgehammer, and I'll tell you right here, straight up his ass. You know, that guy is an absolute insane, imbecilic individual who is, I mean, he makes Vladimir Putin look like a man of high morals. And so that's one reason why you do not want to be a driver. People will try to get in accidents with you because they see the money these lawyers promise them. You are a target. And it is sickening and it is sad. So people, that is number 2. Number 3, people try to rob you. And this is a reality. And people can say racial all they want, but it is a reality. If you're a white driver in a black area, your chances of getting robbed are a lot higher. Or you're down there close to the border, which the Biden administration says there's nothing going on. Seriously, you go down to the border, you'll find out that is far from the truth. They will try to rob you and hijack your truck so they can run illegals. And truck drivers are known for not being armed. I mean, it's well known that you can't have a weapon, and these companies that are very strict on that, I only ever worked for one company that actually would issue you a gun. I won't say who they are because I don't want to give away my identity. But these companies are very adamant about the driver not having a weapon because the way that they treat them like garbage, they're afraid the driver's going to come in there and off a few of them. Well, maybe they should think about how they treat their driver. You look at how many companies have these heavy armored doors, melting truck lines, Paul Transportation, pretty much all of them. And they're there because they treated the drivers so much like shit that they're in fear of their lives from their own drivers because of how they've treated the drivers. And so people know that you're not armed. They know that you're an easy victim. They know that truck drivers usually carry amounts of cash, and they think, wow, that's a nice, easy victim. He's guaranteed to be out of shape. He can't, run away or whatever. And so they'll try to rob you. In many cases, drivers get murdered. I had a person I knew who was at the truck stop there in Kingman, Arizona. They took his money, and when he went to told him he could leave, and when he went to turn his back, they broke his back and killed him. Murdered him. This is a reality, people. I've had people make an attempt to rob me. None of them has succeeded. One of them is dead. But people will try to rob you, and this is a reality as a truck driver. You are a white driver, you go into an area like Nashville or anywhere Louisiana, Mississippi, in the black areas, and people can claim it's racial all they want, but it's reality. You're going to have people trying to rob you, trying to hit you up for money because they see you and think you owe them. You don't owe them. When you go close to the border, these coyotes, the people that run the illegals, are going to try to rob you and take that truck so they can run their illegals. Because people, when you're a truck driver, you're a very nice, easy victim. Because you're not armed, you're probably out of shape, you're probably pissed off, you're probably just dreaming about what you're going to do to try to get out of this business, whatever scheme you might have. And so you're not really paying attention. Everyone knows this. All the criminal element knows this. And so you become a nice, easy victim. And criminals don't like armed victims. They like nice, easy victims that are unhealthy and will be scared to comply and hand them their money. And then when they turn their back on them, they kill them. And so people, this is one of the reasons you do not want to be a truck driver, is because people will try to rob you because they know that you're defenseless. So that is number 3. Number 4, rude drivers. People, this is an ugly reality. Especially when you go to San Antonio, Texas. You're a truck driver in San Antonio, Texas, and you put that blinky thing on, the turn signal, they think it means to block you. They think it means block me, pull alongside me and throw me the finger. People are insanely rude in San Antonio. They should these trucking companies should completely boycott San Antonio and force these people to go hungry and see just how they like being rude. Or you look at Austin, Texas, where they drive like they're still in LA and not drive Texas the friendly way. The rude drivers in this country is utterly insane. And it's getting worse. And all you have to do is just look at number 2 to see why the lawyer's targeting you. They're hoping you're going to get in an accident with them because they're dreaming about $50 million because Thomas J. Henry promised it to them. Or you see that lawyer up there getting a wreck, get a check. And so people don't care. People don't look at the outcome. They look at just being rude and nasty. You look at back in the 1980s, people drove more with courtesy. Now you look at 2020s and they're complete shitheads while they're driving. And especially if you're in a commercial vehicle, because they already hate you. They utterly hate you. They see you as big in their way and slow. And so they're going to be rude to you. They're going to brake check you. And people, I'm going to tell you something about brake checking. In the state of Texas, brake checking is considered reckless driving. Okay, but I've never seen a cop enforce it because they're too busy trying to write a truck driver ticket. But brake checking in Texas is considered reckless driving and needs to be that way in all the other states. Brake checking is suicidal. Your car weighs 2,500 pounds. The average 18-wheeler weighs between 75,000 and 80,000 pounds. That is like a flea trying to pick a fight with an elephant, people. That is stupid. Brake checking a truck and you get 80,000 pounds dumped on top of you, yeah, I hope you're sitting in hell when you do that. Because brake checking is suicide. It wrecks your life, or ends it, and it wrecks that driver's life. The driver, you don't even know who he is, yet you hate him. All you know is he's in a big truck, and that greedy lawyer promised him $50 million. Thomas J. Henry should be given an atomic wedgie. And this rude driving, people without trucks, you would be hungry, homeless, and naked. You've got it, they brought it. And yet you want to flip them the finger, cuss at them. How does it feel to be so goddamn stupid? Excuse you, idiot, but I'm a member of Mensa. If you want to call somebody stupid, take a look in a mirror. I am a member of Mensa. I am far from stupid. And so this is how people will behave to you. Get the fuck out of my way. Who the fuck you think you are? I mean, they will literally talk this way, yell this stuff at you. I mean, drive friendly the Texas way. Nope. Texas needs to scrap that and put up there, we block the blinking. Because in Texas, they block the blinking. People are horribly rude. You go to New York City, the rotten apple. It is sad when you have to get a cop to get the traffic to let you over because somebody in front of you is broke down with a flat tire and those rude Yankees will not let you over. New York City is the rotten apple. And so people, that's another reason why you do not want to be a truck driver, is the horribly rude drivers. And I'm going to tell you something about the truck drivers, they're guilty of it. You've got a tight construction zone, and here comes Iowa 80 with his big hood thinking he's all that good. And going by you in a tight construction zone, even when there's tight curves, he doesn't care because he's dreaming about 400-pound jelly roll at the TA. I've actually had a super lot lizard-loving truck big hooded idiot get us wedged in the construction zone. When the cop asked him why he did it, he said there was a fat one at the PA. And so the truck drivers are just as bad about this, if not worse than the cars, is this rude driving. And I blame a lot of it on Iowa 80. Iowa 80 endorses the big hood super trucker stretcher truck out and put a briefer behind it, look like a chihuahua pulling a truck wagon mentality, They believe that everybody else is supposed to sit in the slow lane and they can sit there and cruise in the middle lane and dream about paying $30 for a $5 movie at the PA. And so the rude drivers, it's not just the cars, it's the truck drivers. Truck drivers are oftentimes their own worst enemy. So rude driving is one of the reasons. Number 5, trucking companies treat you like shit. It is numerous how many YouTube channels talk about this, from Smart Trucking to you can pull up any of them, and they'll talk about how the companies treat you like shit. People, there's a reason why they have those armored doors going to dispatch, is because how they've treated drivers. And some of the nasty things I've heard from trucking companies, either directed to myself or somebody else. Aero Trucking, the guy had a cute wife. Dispatch told him, why don't you send your wife down to dispatch so we can all get a turn at her? If she's any good, we'll let you get some. You know, people, that is sickening. Utterly sickening. And that's how these companies will preach. This is how they'll talk. Brittany Murray, it's not my, Paul Transportation, not my fault I have a wife and you don't. You know, Krista Fat Super Pig Cartwright constantly lying to you to keep you away from home because she thinks it's funny while she's sitting there eating a bag of Lay's. She's got every flavor in town. I mean, Gary Hurd, aka Turd, the former driver that sucked dick and ass kissed, snitched his way from being a driver to being a head of training, yet he don't know shit. You know, the drivers call him Turd for a reason. He likes to go on the yard and pull people's fifth wheels, play with their airlines and stuff, and then write them up when they didn't notice it. You know, because it's supposed to be a safe haven, but Gary Hurd, there's a reason this prick has been married 6 times. Because he is a nasty, rotten, disgusting individual. That brown stain on his nose is how he got his name. That's his claim to fame. Gary Hurd, aka Turd. Some of the nasty things that these companies have told drivers. You know, Skyla, head of operations dispatch there at Navajo Express, if we wanted you to have a family, we'd issue you one. You know, and then Navajo would do is when you mentioned that you were quitting, they'd call up Net Scale House, you were going to go across, tell them they fired you and that you stole the truck, and that they wanted to press charges. You know, the way that these companies will treat you. I mean, I have said in numerous of my videos, these companies don't have a soul. They don't. These executives, they don't have a soul because they have no empathy. And in order to have a soul, you've got to have empathy, and they have none. The way they treat their drivers. It is nothing short of absolute sickening. You know, no one would want to be treated how these trucking companies treat their drivers. Swift Transportation constantly ripping their drivers off. It is sickening. You know, the mentality of the way they treat them. In any other business, this would not be tolerated. But it is acceptable in the trucking industry to treat drivers so horrible. And then they wonder why you got drivers committing suicide and having heart attacks and all this. These companies need to understand, drivers are human beings. They have feelings like human beings. We are human beings. We're not truck numbers. You can easily tell them they're running around with freaking company logos all over them, talking about how their dispatcher loves them so much, yet the dispatcher talking shit about them. And yeah, I've seen that numerous times. You go to freaking Western Express dispatch, they're all on the phone, they're cussing at the drivers. Yup. You know, and laughing about sending you to New York City, Fat Krista, and Troy Miller of Paul Transportation. Troy Miller sitting there laughing, you know, about them screwing over drivers and keeping away from home. And Brittany Murray's telling the regional drivers, Tulsa Regional is wherever Tulsa Dispatch tells you to go, even if it includes telling you to go to hell, which Brittany Murray really loves to tell the drivers to go to hell because her daddy was a truck driver who was never home. Guess she didn't get that new Barbie she wanted, or that pony. You know, but these companies, they treat their drivers like that. You know, Stephanie Hampton, aka Stephanie Roper, of P&S Transportation, who's head of their logs, you know, drivers are too stupid to do logbooks. P&S Transportation had sign up that said drivers are dumb motherfuckers that can't find other jobs. You know, this is how these trucking companies treat drivers. They treat them utterly like shit. In no other business have I seen them treat their employees so bad as what these companies will do. You know, Krista Fat Cartwright, she thinks it's absolutely hilarious to keep the drivers away from home and lie to them constantly. I mean, the only time her mouth isn't lying is when she's eating. And she eats a lot. You don't look like a freaking Chinese spy balloon without having that kind of mentality, constantly eating potato chips. You know, but these companies, this is how they treat these drivers, people. And it is nothing short of sickening how these companies will treat them. You can watch any of these videos like Smart Trucking where he talks about this, or any of these ones like that, and they're going to talk about why the drivers, you know, don't want to be in this business. There was a reporter that was brought up to the American Trucking Association on why the driver turnover rate was so high, and the reporter said it's how the drivers are treated. The American Trucking Association replied, it has nothing to do with how they're treated. It's how they deserve to be treated, and they should just shut up and get used to it. People, that is the reason why. People do not want to be truck drivers, and why you should not be a truck driver. I'm trying to get out of this business, but it's easier said than done. You know, but these companies, they will treat you so horribly. You know, I mean, I got written up at Melton Truck Lines because I loaned a driver manager movie for her little girl. She didn't want to give it back, so I said, I just tell her I gave it to her for Christmas, and Melton Truck Lines wrote us up for fraternization. I mean, seriously, are you going to take a kid's movie like Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties away from a 7-year-old? I would hate to meet you, and you would hate to meet me, because I would wrap my fist, my boot right through your damn face. Because if you can take a movie like Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties away from a 7-year-old, I would love to get my opportunity where there's no witnesses with me. I mean, it is sick. You know, this is how these trucking companies treat the drivers. They treat them like shit. All of them do. NRG Transportation, who was bought out to Quaddy, you know, they took pride in, you know, how they would treat drivers, you know, to the point that they would actually have pistols sitting there at the dispatch office, and it wasn't there for anybody breaking in, it was for the drivers. You know, I mean, and it wasn't an issue to them, it was to shoot them in case they did something to Randall Strammer, Donnie Keir, I heard one person refer to him as T-Rex Toe Jam because they said he's devolved to the point that he's a rodent running around a dinosaur's toes. Steve Mosier, who stole money from P&S to start up NRG, and then his cohort, one really sick individual who I wanted to decapitate. His cohort died in a heart attack in Houston traffic. Good riddance. You know, and this guy would literally cuss at the driver and stuff. There's no reason for this. Drivers are human beings. We're not truck numbers, we're not your dog or whatever. We're human beings. And people, this is one of the worst things on all the lists, is how the trucking companies treat the drivers. And it's why so many drivers don't want to be in this business. We're human beings. You know, treating a person like we get treated is sickening. It is utterly sickening. And so people, these are 5 reasons you do not want to be a truck driver, part 1. And trucking companies, your drivers are humans. They have something you don't, a soul. So everyone, drive safe, be respectful of others. The blinky thing means turning or lane change. Seriously, if you can't figure that out, go to the DMV and tell them you're stupid to drive. And trucking companies, quit being a bunch of soulless vampires. Your drivers are human beings, and you have no soul. So, treat others like you'd like to be treated. Have a nice day, y'all.